Good morning, Cyprus. I hope you've had a lovely weekend. Okay, so by the end of this week, we'd like to have produced your newspaper report. So we're going to look today at starting to plan that, and we're going to think about the reason that we're writing the report. Okay, so the story goes that Liam's parents, okay, have found out that he has gone to space. So they don't know if he's okay, they don't know where he is, so currently he's missing, but they know that he has gone to space. Okay, so he's pretended to be an adult, and they're going to the newspaper to try and appeal for help. So the newspaper is going to write the report on this boy who has ended up tricking a space company who are going to send a rocket into space into thinking that he's an adult, and he has been sent into space, okay, and is currently lost somewhere out in space. So you need to think about how you're going to report that. Now, obviously, there is a serious element, but a 12-year-old boy going to space, okay, I don't think the newspaper would fully believe this, okay? So the newspaper story is going to be a little bit jokey, a little bit like they don't believe the parents, okay? And today you need to start thinking about these 5 W's, okay, for your story. How are you going to write and how are you going to get across this idea that there is a child missing in space? If you told me and most of us at the start, when we heard that he'd tricked someone into thinking he was going to space, we didn't really believe it, did we? But then as we started to find out a little bit more about Liam, it became a little bit more believable, okay? So you need to put yourself in the reporter's shoes who's going to think this is completely unbelievable, okay? So they're probably going to write a story in a bit of a jokey way about this boy whose parents believe he's lost in space, okay? And to do that, you need to think about these things, but you also need to think about who you would interview, who you would speak to. So, you might speak to mum or dad, okay? You might speak to Mrs. Sass, and you might speak to her because she might help to bring some truth into the fact that he has done this before, okay? He has tricked her. So you might speak to her about how she was tricked by him. You might do the same for the Porsche salesman, okay? You might also speak to someone from NASA, okay? Maybe they would be saying things like, there is no way that he would have got away with this. There's no way that he would have tricked them. And the Porsche salesman and Miss Sass might be saying, well, he could well have tricked them. He nearly tricked me into letting him take a sports car out for a test drive. So today, your job is the reporter. You've been given the job by your boss, by the editor of the newspaper, to write a front cover piece about the parents whose boy is lost in space. Okay. Today, you're going to get together your ideas. You're going to be completing a couple of things. You're going to be completing this. What do you think your headline's going to be? Okay. Who's involved in this story? Okay. Who's involved in this story? What has happened, or what have the parents reported that's happened? Okay. When's it happened? Where has it happened? And it might be that we don't actually know exactly where this has fully taken place. Okay, we know where the parents live, don't we? We know where the newspaper's probably going to be going out, in Waterloo, in Liverpool. But we don't particularly know where Liam is, okay? So that might come across in there. And then why? So why do the parents think that he's in space? So maybe they found a letter. Maybe the company that sent him to space has written to them to say what has happened. We don't know. You can create that idea yourself. And the final thing I want you to think about are who are the 2 or 3 people that you're going to speak to and report an interview to get the information for your newspaper. So I've chosen to speak to Dad, I've chosen to speak to the Porsche salesman, and I'm going to speak to the NASA rep, okay? And then I want you to start thinking about some questions that you might be able to ask each of those, or that you would want to know, okay? So why do you think he's in space? Maybe that could come back to that Drax World app that they've got. Maybe it's picking him up in space, okay? And how do you think he did it? So how do you think he's managed to trick them, okay? For the Porsche salesman, I want to find out about how he tricked. How did he trick you? Okay, what happens? I want to know a little bit more detail so that I can add that into my story, my newspaper report. Okay. I also want him to answer, do you think it's possible that he tricked a space company? Okay, so actually, the Porsche salesman might be saying, yeah, it's completely believable. He almost let me take out a supercar. Okay, so to most people, it would be unbelievable that a company would let them do that. But to this Porsche salesman, he's had experience of this. Okay, and the NASA rep, I might be asking what procedures would he have gone through, okay? And I might also ask him, do you think it's possible, okay? And actually, he might have a very different opinion. He's got no experience of Liam saying or trying being around him when he tricks him. He just thinks it's a 12-year-old boy. And if you told someone that a 12-year-old boy had tricked their way into space, okay, you probably wouldn't believe it. And he would want to think that everything had been done properly, and they'd have checked his age, he'd have probably needed degrees, okay? So you need to think about what questions you'd ask them. So today we're just gathering some initial ideas, and then over the week we're going to start writing some bits up together, okay? So today I want you to just get your ideas in, okay? How are you going to report it, okay? Are you going to report it in a bit of a jokey way? Are you going to report it that the parents have gone a bit mad that they think this? Okay. Um, so I just want your initial ideas today, and then tomorrow when we have our live lesson, we will get our heads together and we'll start putting together your newspaper reports. Okay. So gathering ideas today, starting our write up tomorrow.